I'm Dr. Emily Harper, a cardiologist who has spent over a decade at the Riverside Heart Institute, a facility I consider among the most advanced centers for cardiovascular care in the region. Throughout my years there, I've witnessed remarkable breakthroughs in diagnosing and treating heart disease, from the evolution of catheter-based interventions to the refinement of electrophysiological mapping that has transformed how we manage arrhythmias. Yet, despite all the knowledge and technology one have had at my disposal, one case continues to perplex me, a patient whose heartbeat seemed to defy every known principle of cardiac science and whose story lingers in my memory as a haunting enigma. The Riverside Heart Institute is a place where we pride ourselves on cutting-edge diagnostic tools and a multidisciplinary team dedicated to pushing the boundaries of cardiovascular medicine. Our lab is equipped with the latest imaging modalities, and we have specialists who focus solely on electrophysiology, heart failure, and interventional cardiology. This environment has shaped both my professional confidence and my curiosity, yet it was here, in this atmosphere of expertise, that I encountered a patient who challenged everything I thought I knew about the heart's rhythms and resilience. It was a cold November evening in 2010 when Mr. Jonathan Wells was admitted through the emergency department. He was a middle-aged man in his early 50s with no significant past cardiac history, who arrived complaining of irregular palpitations that had begun suddenly and persisted throughout the day. The staff quickly noted the severity of his symptoms. He was visibly anxious, his pulse palpably erratic, and his blood pressure unstable. Initial monitoring revealed a dangerously irregular heartbeat that immediately set off alarms in our team. Jonathan's case was unusual from the outset. His electrocardiogram showed episodes of ventricular tachycardia, a rapid heart rhythm originating from the lower chambers of the heart, which poses a high risk of sudden cardiac arrest if left untreated. Given the seriousness of the diagnosis, we initiated aggressive medical intervention. Antiarrhythmic drugs were administered to try to control the rhythm, and when those failed to restore normalcy, we proceeded with electrical cardioversion, a procedure where an electrical shock is delivered to the heart to reset its rhythm. Despite these efforts, Jonathan's heartbeat remained erratic, rebelling against every treatment we threw at it. This resistance was baffling. Typically, ventricular tachycardia responds, at least transiently, to either pharmacological or electrical therapies, but Jonathan's heart seemed impervious. The monitors displayed a chaotic electrical storm, and the usual protocols appeared futile. This was more than a routine arrhythmia. It was something that refused to be subdued. Over the following weeks, Jonathan's condition fluctuated unpredictably. We saw moments where his heart rhythm briefly returned to a near-normal sinus rhythm, offering us hope that the treatment might be taking effect. But these moments were deceptive and temporary. Without warning, his heartbeat would plunge back into bizarre arrhythmias, sometimes lasting for hours at a stretch before easing again. This oscillation in his cardiac rhythm was unlike anything I had encountered in all my years of practice. As his primary cardiologist, I became deeply involved in his care. I met with him daily, monitoring his clinical status, adjusting medications, and coordinating with electrophysiologists and intensivists. Despite exhaustive testing, including echocardiograms, cardiac MRI scans, and invasive electrophysiological studies, no clear cause emerged. His heart structure appeared normal, without signs of scarring, ischemia, or congenital defects that could explain his electrical instability. Jonathan's case began to attract attention within the institute. Colleagues from various subspecialties joined our discussions, and we held multiple case conferences to brainstorm potential diagnoses. Genetic testing was ordered to look for rare arrhythmogenic syndromes, but results came back negative. Toxicology screens ruled out drug-induced causes. Even neurological consultations were sought to explore whether autonomic nervous system dysfunction could be driving the erratic rhythms, but no definitive explanation was found. Throughout this period, I was struck not only by the clinical challenge but also by Jonathan's resilience. He endured repeated episodes of near collapse, yet he remained engaged, hopeful, and cooperative. His family, too, stood by him, their faith unwavering despite the uncertainty that surrounded his condition. Their trust in our care was a constant reminder of the human dimension behind the baffling medical mystery we faced. The persistence of Jonathan's arrhythmia defied our conventional understanding of ventricular tachycardia, which typically follows identifiable patterns and responds to treatment. His heart seemed to be governed by an anomaly that eluded every diagnostic tool at our disposal. I found myself questioning the limits of current cardiology. Were there mechanisms of cardiac electrophysiology we had yet to discover? Could there be factors beyond the heart itself influencing its rhythm in ways we could not measure? Riverside is a place that fosters inquiry and innovation, yet even here, Jonathan's case stood as a stark reminder of medicine's boundaries. The very heart that we understand as a reliable pump, regulated by predictable electrical impulses, was revealing itself as a complex organ still holding secrets. The more we investigated, the more elusive answers became. In the quiet moments after long shifts, I often reflected on the nature of the heart, not just as a biological organ but as a symbol of life's fragility and unpredictability. Jonathan's heartbeat was a metaphor for the delicate balance between health and illness, order and chaos. His case underscored how, despite decades of research and technological advancement, the human body retains mysteries that can humble even the most seasoned clinicians. As weeks turned into months, Jonathan remained under our care, his heartbeat an ever-changing enigma. The team's initial confidence gave way to cautious uncertainty, and the usual protocols felt insufficient. Yet, in this uncertainty, I found a renewed sense of purpose, a reminder that medicine is as much about embracing the unknown as it is about applying established knowledge. Jonathan's story had begun on that chilly November night, a narrative of defiance against the very science meant to tame it. And for me, it marked the start of a journey into the heart's most perplexing rhythms, one that would challenge my understanding and reverberate long after the monitors finally fell silent. Jonathan Wells's admission to Riverside Heart Institute marked the beginning of a medical odyssey that would test every facet of our cardiology expertise. From the moment he arrived with dangerously irregular palpitations, the severity and complexity of his condition became apparent. His initial diagnosis was ventricular tachycardia, a rapid and potentially fatal arrhythmia originating from the heart's ventricles. This diagnosis immediately placed Jonathan in a high-risk category, as ventricular tachycardia can degenerate into ventricular fibrillation, leading to sudden cardiac arrest if not promptly managed. The medical team wasted no time in initiating aggressive treatment. We began with antiarrhythmic medications, aiming to stabilize his electrical conduction and suppress the erratic impulses causing his heart to race uncontrollably. Drugs like amiodarone and lidocaine were administered intravenously under continuous monitoring. Unfortunately, these pharmacological interventions failed to restore a normal rhythm. Jonathan's heart continued its chaotic pattern, unyielding to the drugs that usually bring such arrhythmias under control. Given the refractory nature of his arrhythmia, we proceeded with electrical cardioversion, a procedure intended to reset the heart's electrical activity through a controlled electric shock. This intervention is often successful in terminating ventricular tachycardia, restoring sinus rhythm, and preventing further deterioration. Yet, in Jonathan's case, the shocks, even when repeated, produced only transient improvements. His heart rhythm would briefly organize, only to relapse into erratic, unstable beats moments later. Over the ensuing weeks, Jonathan's cardiac status became a roller coaster of fluctuating rhythms. There were intervals when his heartbeat appeared almost normal, steady enough to allow him to engage in conversation and perform light activities. These windows of stability were heartening, offering a glimpse of hope to both the patient and the medical staff. But the hope was fragile. Without warning, his heart would plunge back into bizarre and unpredictable arrhythmias, episodes that could last from minutes to hours, each one as confounding as the last. As Jonathan's condition oscillated, so too did our approach. We escalated pharmacological therapy, trying different combinations of antiarrhythmic agents, yet none provided lasting control. The electrophysiology team performed detailed studies, mapping the heart's electrical pathways in an attempt to identify focal points triggering the arrhythmias. Despite these efforts, the patterns we observed were unusual and did not conform to any known arrhythmogenic substrate. The usual culprits, scar tissue from previous infarctions, structural heart disease, or inherited channelopathies, were all notably absent. My involvement deepened as I coordinated his care, balancing the urgency of his condition with the need for careful, methodical investigation. I spent hours reviewing his telemetry, scrutinizing every beat for clues, and consulting with specialists across multiple disciplines. We expanded our diagnostic net, including comprehensive imaging and laboratory tests, yet the cause remained elusive. Jonathan's heart was structurally normal on echocardiography and magnetic resonance imaging. There was no evidence of inflammation, ischemia, or fibrosis that could explain the electrical chaos. The absence of a clear etiology was both frustrating and intellectually unsettling. Jonathan's case did not fit into any textbook description or clinical guideline. It became clear that we were dealing with a cardiac anomaly that had, until then, evaded documentation. The medical team began to entertain the possibility that Jonathan's arrhythmia represented a novel or exceedingly rare disorder, one that challenged the boundaries of established cardiology. Throughout this period, Jonathan's clinical course was punctuated by moments of crisis. On several occasions, his arrhythmias deteriorated to the brink of cardiac arrest, necessitating rapid resuscitation efforts and critical care support. Each episode underscored the precarious nature of his condition and the limitations of our interventions. Despite the grim scenarios, Jonathan's resilience was remarkable. He faced each setback with determination, his spirit unbroken, even as his heart betrayed him repeatedly. Given the complexity and severity of Jonathan's arrhythmia, we convened multidisciplinary meetings to explore every possible angle. Geneticists were brought in to investigate inherited arrhythmia syndromes, such as Brugada syndrome or catecholaminergic polymorphic ventricular tachycardia, but genetic panels returned negative. Toxicology screens ruled out external influences like illicit drugs or toxins. Neurologists evaluated him for autonomic nervous system dysfunction, considering whether aberrant neural input might be contributing to his erratic cardiac rhythms, but their assessments revealed no clear abnormalities. As the weeks passed, the medical team's confidence in our ability to control Jonathan's arrhythmia waned. The usual algorithms and therapeutic pathways appeared insufficient. I found myself grappling with the stark reality that, despite our best efforts and the most advanced technologies, we were confronting a condition that defied explanation and resisted treatment. This challenged my foundational beliefs about cardiac electrophysiology and the predictability of arrhythmia management. Jonathan's case also highlighted the emotional and psychological toll such uncertainty exacts, not only on the patient and his family but also on the physicians responsible for their care. Each day brought new challenges and raised difficult questions about prognosis, quality of life, and the limits of medicine. I was acutely aware of the weight of these decisions, balancing hope with realism, and striving to provide compassionate care amid ambiguity. Throughout this ordeal, Jonathan's family remained steadfast, their trust in the medical team a source of strength. They participated actively in discussions, seeking to understand the complexities of his condition and the rationale behind each intervention. Their unwavering support bolstered Jonathan's resolve and reminded us of the human cost behind the clinical puzzle. In reflection, Jonathan's persistent and unresponsive arrhythmia forced me to confront the humbling truth that the heart, despite being one of the most studied organs, still holds mysteries beyond our current comprehension. His case underscored the need for continual research and openness to novel concepts that may one day illuminate such enigmas. It also reinforced the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration and patient-centered care in navigating uncharted clinical territory. As I continued to oversee Jonathan's care, I remained vigilant, adapting treatment plans and monitoring for any signs of improvement or deterioration. The uncertainty was daunting, but it was also a catalyst for deeper inquiry. Jonathan's heartbeat, erratic and unyielding, was a call to arms for the medical team, a challenge to expand our understanding and to strive relentlessly for answers, no matter how elusive they might be. Months had passed since Jonathan Wells's admission, and the relentless battle against his arrhythmia continued to dominate our days and nights at Riverside Heart Institute. The medical team remained vigilant, adjusting therapies and monitoring his cardiac status with unwavering attention. Yet, despite everything, the unpredictability of his condition persisted, casting a shadow over every decision we made. Then, During what seemed like a routine checkup, Jonathan suddenly collapsed. The monitors alerted us immediately. His heart had gone into a catastrophic rhythm, a full cardiac arrest. The room erupted into controlled chaos as the resuscitation team sprang into action. We commenced cardiopulmonary resuscitation, administered advanced cardiac life support, and delivered multiple defibrillation shocks in an attempt to restore a viable rhythm. The resuscitation efforts were prolonged and intense. Minutes stretched like hours as we fought desperately to bring Jonathan back. There were moments when hope wavered, when the bleak possibility of losing him became all too real. But then, against all odds, his heart responded. The monitors displayed an organized rhythm, and his pulse returned. He was alive. What followed was nothing short of astonishing. In the hours and days after his resuscitation, Jonathan's heart rhythm stabilized spontaneously. The chaotic arrhythmias that had plagued him for months seemed to vanish, replaced by a steady, normal sinus rhythm. It was as if his heart had reset itself, a miraculous turnaround that the entire team could hardly believe. I remember vividly the moment I saw the cardiac monitors displaying that perfect, regular heartbeat. It felt surreal, almost like a reprieve from the nightmare we had been living through. Jonathan was alert, coherent, and engaged in conversation, able to recount memories and interact with family members who had been by his bedside throughout his ordeal. For the first time in months, there was a palpable sense of hope that he might recover. During this period of stability, Jonathan participated in physical therapy sessions and resumed light activities. His energy returned gradually, and his demeanor brightened, rekindling the optimism that had been dimmed by his prolonged illness. The medical team cautiously celebrated this unexpected improvement, though we remained wary of the unpredictable nature of his condition. Despite the stabilization, the underlying mystery of Jonathan's cardiac arrhythmia remained unsolved. We continued to monitor him closely, aware that the fragile balance could shift at any moment. The sudden return to normal rhythm defied all previous patterns and confounded our understanding of his disease process. This spontaneous recovery raised profound questions. How could a heart besieged by relentless arrhythmias suddenly regain normal function without clear intervention? Were there internal mechanisms at work that we had yet to comprehend? The phenomenon challenged the very foundations of cardiac electrophysiology and the assumptions underpinning our treatments. Jonathan's case became a subject of intense discussion among the cardiology team. We debated possible explanations, ranging from transient physiological changes to elusive neurocardiac interactions. The medical literature offered little guidance, as such a dramatic and unexplained shift in cardiac rhythm was virtually unheard of. Throughout this time, Jonathan remained under constant surveillance. We employed continuous telemetry and repeated diagnostic tests to detect any sign of relapse. The medical team balanced cautious optimism with a readiness to intervene should his arrhythmias return. His case underscored the delicate equilibrium between health and illness, a tightrope walked daily by patients with complex cardiac conditions. The emotional impact of this turn of events was significant for both Jonathan and his family. The brief restoration of normalcy provided a glimpse of life unshackled from the threat of cardiac arrest, a chance to dream of a future beyond the hospital walls. Their gratitude was palpable, and their hope renewed, even as the uncertainty lingered. For me, witnessing Jonathan's recovery was both inspiring and unsettling. It was a testament to the resilience of the human heart, yet it also deepened the enigma surrounding his illness. The spontaneous stabilization of his cardiac rhythm suggested that factors beyond our current medical knowledge might influence heart function, perhaps subtle shifts in autonomic regulation, unidentified molecular pathways, or unknown intrinsic cardiac mechanisms. This experience compelled me to reflect on the limitations of cardiology as a discipline. Despite advances in technology and pharmacology, there remain phenomena the heart can manifest that elude explanation. Jonathan's heart, with its mysterious oscillations and sudden reprieve, was a living example of these limits. As the days of stability extended, we cautiously engaged in discussions about potential long-term management strategies. Implantable cardioverter defibrillators, ICDs, and catheter ablation were considered but postponed in light of his improved condition. We hoped that this period of normal rhythm might last, allowing Jonathan to regain strength and quality of life. Yet, beneath the surface of this hopeful chapter, questions persisted. Would the arrhythmia return? Could the heart's apparent reset be permanent? Or was it merely a fleeting pause in a relentless storm? The medical team remained vigilant, acutely aware that Jonathan's journey was far from over. In the midst of this uncertainty, Jonathan's brief awakening to normalcy became a beacon, an extraordinary event that challenged our understanding and fueled our determination to unravel the mysteries of cardiac electrophysiology. It was a moment that redefined hope in his case, a reminder of the heart's capacity for resilience even in the face of profound dysfunction. Jonathan's story was no longer just about a refractive arrhythmia. It had evolved into a narrative about the unpredictable nature of life itself. His heartbeat, once a symbol of chaos, had transformed into a fleeting harmony, inspiring all of us to continue seeking answers in the shadows of medicine's unknowns. Following Jonathan Wells's astonishing return to a stable heartbeat, our medical team embarked on an exhaustive journey to uncover the underlying mechanisms that could explain such a perplexing phenomenon. The spontaneous normalization of his cardiac rhythm after months of relentless arrhythmia defied all established knowledge, prompting us to delve deeper with every investigative tool at our disposal. Our first step involved revisiting the extensive battery of tests we had previously conducted, this time with renewed focus and advanced technology. We ordered sophisticated genetic analyses, aiming to detect any rare or novel mutations that might predispose Jonathan to his erratic heart rhythms. While genetic testing has transformed cardiology by revealing inherited arrhythmia syndromes, in Jonathan's case, these panels failed to identify any mutations associated with known disorders such as long QT syndrome, Brugada syndrome, or arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy. We also employed cutting-edge cardiac imaging techniques, including high-resolution magnetic resonance imaging with delayed gadolinium enhancement, to search for subtle structural abnormalities or scarring that might have escaped earlier detection. Yet, Jonathan's heart appeared remarkably normal, with no evidence of fibrosis, inflammation, or other pathological changes that could disrupt its electrical conduction. Electrophysiological studies took on a new dimension during this period of stability. The electrophysiology team conducted detailed mapping of Jonathan's cardiac conduction system, meticulously tracing the electrical impulses as they coursed through the myocardium. The data revealed unusual patterns that did not correspond to any known arrhythmia syndromes. These aberrant conduction pathways, though present, did not trigger arrhythmias during mapping but hinted at a complex and atypical electrophysiological substrate. What baffled us most was the intermittent nature of Jonathan's arrhythmias. During the stable phase, his cardiac function appeared entirely normal, both clinically and on diagnostic studies. Yet, sporadic episodes of ventricular tachycardia would reemerge unpredictably, sometimes without any identifiable triggers. This lack of correlation with common precipitating factors such as electrolyte imbalances, ischemia, or autonomic stress further complicated the clinical picture. The unpredictability of these episodes led us to consider alternative explanations beyond the heart itself. We consulted neurologists and autonomic specialists to explore the possibility that neurological influences might be modulating Jonathan's cardiac rhythm. The autonomic nervous system, which governs involuntary bodily functions including heart rate, could potentially play a role in arrhythmiogenesis through imbalances in sympathetic and parasympathetic tone. Comprehensive autonomic testing was performed, including tilt table tests and heart rate variability analysis, but results were inconclusive. There was no definitive evidence of dysautonomia or neurocardiogenic syncope that could account for the erratic rhythms. Still, the subtle interplay between the brain and heart remained a tantalizing hypothesis, one that suggested a level of physiological complexity not fully understood. Throughout this investigative process, our team grappled with the limitations of current cardiac science. Jonathan's case exposed gaps in our understanding of electrophysiology and the mechanisms governing arrhythmogenesis. It was clear that known classifications and treatment paradigms could not fully capture the nuances of his condition. This realization spurred a broader reflection on the heart's intrinsic properties. The myocardium is not a mere pump but a dynamic organ with its own microenvironment, influenced by cellular, molecular, and systemic factors. We considered whether there might be unknown ion channelopathies, mitochondrial dysfunctions, or inflammatory mediators at play, factors that elude routine testing but profoundly affect electrical stability. Jonathan's intermittent arrhythmias also raised questions about the heart's adaptive responses. Could his myocardium possess a form of electrical plasticity or memory that allowed it to oscillate between stability and chaos? Were there unidentified feedback mechanisms within the cardiac conduction system or between the heart and nervous system that orchestrated these shifts? As the medical team confronted these uncertainties, we maintained a rigorous clinical approach, continuously monitoring Jonathan's condition and adjusting therapies as needed. We explored experimental treatments cautiously, aware that premature interventions might do more harm than good in a patient with such a fragile and enigmatic cardiac state. Throughout this journey, the patient's resilience remained a cornerstone. Jonathan's willingness to endure repeated testing, invasive procedures, and the psychological toll of uncertain prognosis exemplified the human spirit's strength in the face of medical mystery. His collaboration and trust motivated us to persevere in our quest for answers. The case also fostered interdisciplinary collaboration. Cardiologists, electrophysiologists, geneticists, neurologists, and researchers convened regularly to share insights and hypotheses, reflecting the necessity of a holistic approach when confronting unclassifiable conditions. Jonathan's story became a catalyst for dialogue and inquiry within our institution, stimulating curiosity and humility. In parallel, I found myself reassessing my own clinical assumptions. The experience underscored the importance of embracing complexity and uncertainty in medicine. While evidence-based guidelines provide essential frameworks, each patient's journey can transcend textbook patterns, demanding individualized consideration and openness to novel ideas. Jonathan's arrhythmia defied neat categorization, embodying the heart's enduring mysteries. His case illuminated the frontier of cardiac electrophysiology, where known science meets the unknown. It reminded me that despite technological advances and decades of research, the human heart still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. As we continued to follow Jonathan's course, the oscillating nature of his arrhythmias served as a humbling testament to the limits of medical knowledge. It challenged us to think beyond conventional paradigms and inspired ongoing research into the intricate mechanisms governing cardiac rhythm. His heartbeat was a riddle, a signal from the depths of physiology that beckoned us to look closer, question harder, and seek deeper understanding. In this pursuit, Jonathan's case became more than a clinical puzzle. It evolved into a narrative about the evolving nature of medicine itself, a journey marked by curiosity, persistence, and the profound complexity of the human body. Each test, each observation, each unanswered question reinforced the delicate balance between what we know and what remains to be discovered in the realm of cardiac science. Jonathan Wells's case quickly transcended the walls of Riverside Heart Institute, captivating the broader cardiology community and sparking intense discussions at conferences and academic forums. His enigmatic arrhythmia, with its unpredictable oscillations and spontaneous stabilization, stood as a stark reminder of the heart's enduring mysteries and the gaps in our medical understanding. Presentations of his clinical course challenged colleagues to reconsider established paradigms and inspired debates on the nature of cardiac electrophysiology. As I reflected on the journey we had undertaken with Jonathan, I realized how profoundly his case had shaken my confidence in the certainties that underpin modern cardiology. For years, I had relied on evidence-based protocols and a robust framework of pathophysiology to guide treatment decisions. Yet here was a patient whose condition defied classification, whose heart seemed to operate according to rules yet to be discovered. The discomfort of confronting such uncertainty was as humbling as it was daunting. Jonathan's persistent irregular heartbeat became a symbol, not only of a clinical challenge but of medicine's inherent limitations. His story underscored that, despite technological advances and the depth of scientific knowledge, there remain conditions that elude explanation and resist control. This realization compelled me to approach patient care with greater humility, acknowledging the boundaries of what we can predict and influence. The experience also deepened my sense of curiosity and inquiry. Rather than resigning to the unknown, Jonathan's case invigorated my commitment to research and exploration. It was a powerful reminder that the pursuit of understanding is ongoing, that medicine is a dynamic field where yesterday's certainties may be questioned by tomorrow's discoveries. Throughout Jonathan's prolonged illness, I witnessed the profound impact of the unknown on the patient and his family. Their journey was marked by hope and fear, resilience and frustration. Their trust in the medical team, despite the ambiguity surrounding his prognosis, highlighted the essential human dimension of care. This experience reinforced my belief that compassion and communication are as vital as clinical expertise when navigating complex, uncertain conditions. Jonathan eventually passed away several years later, his life marked by the oscillations of his heart and the indomitable spirit with which he faced them. His case remains a compelling example within cardiology, frequently cited as a testament to the heart's complexity and the need for ongoing research. It serves as a poignant reminder that not all diseases fit neatly into defined categories, and that clinicians must remain adaptable and open-minded. For me personally, Jonathan's story has left an indelible mark on my practice. It has instilled a deeper appreciation for the mysteries that persist in medicine and a commitment to approach each patient with a blend of scientific rigor and empathetic humility. His heartbeat, erratic yet enduring, symbolizes the delicate interplay between knowledge and uncertainty that defines our work. In the years since, I have carried the lessons learned from Jonathan's case into every aspect of my career. It has influenced how I teach trainees, emphasizing the importance of questioning assumptions and embracing complexity. It has shaped my interactions with patients, reminding me always to listen carefully and acknowledge the limits of our understanding. Jonathan's journey through the enigmatic rhythms of his heart stands as a powerful narrative in cardiology. It challenges us to push beyond the confines of current knowledge and to remain vigilant in the face of the unknown. His case underscores the heart's enduring mysteries, the fragility of life, and the relentless quest for answers that defines the practice of medicine.